Once in a generation, two outstanding fighters collide. Now these men wait to write the latest chapter in boxing history. Oscar De La Hoya has the charisma to match his outstanding talent. Since striking Olympic gold, he's captured an unprecedented 8 world titles through 6 weight divisions. But is the pinnacle of the middleweight division a leap too far for the Golden Boy? In Bernard Hopkins, he faces the ultimate challenge. Raised on the mean streets of Philadelphia, this fearsome champion's remained unbeaten for a decade. Uncompromising and hard-hitting, the self-styled execution has already terminated 18 challenges, but this is unquestionably his defining moment. De La Hoya Hopkins, history in the making.
And it's upon us. It's the one we've all been waiting for. 2 of the biggest names in boxing, men whose achievements are already legendary, and they meet for the undisputed world middleweight title on this, the greatest occasion outside the heavyweight division in more than 15 years. At every turn tonight, there are famous names and echoes of famous nights. We welcome a special guest here, Nigel Benn, Britain's former 2-weight world champion, a man who rose to every challenge. And with him, our own Johnny Nelson, and of course, Barry McGuigan, as the whole of boxing waits to salute a supreme pound-for-pound hero for the sport. It all unfolds in Las Vegas, venue for so many great fights and astonishing performances. But even there, they've seldom seen anything like this. Let's hear from Jim Watt, and first, Ian Darke.
Everything set here for a real boxing blockbuster. And Jim, the atmosphere around the town this week has been something else, hasn't it?
Yep, the whole town is buzzing with opinions fairly evenly split. And I have to say, the closer we get, there's more and more doubts creeping into my own mind. But I'm still leaning towards Bernard Hopkins.
How big is the fight? Well, 41,000 fans are going to watch it live or on closed-circuit TV in Vegas. And it's the richest middleweight fight ever, richest outside the heavyweight division. They're sharing $50 million, De La Hoya getting most of it. And the buzz at the weigh-in was really something special. An incredible and excitable weigh-in crowd of 7,000 included Mike Tyson and Roberto Duran. And it was clear Oscar De La Hoya was their darling. Hopkins was booed and decided to wind up his detractors. On the scales, De La Hoya looked quite magnificent and built for the speedy strategy he'll need here.
155 pounds, the Golden Boy!
That's 11 stone 1 pound, 5 pounds less than for his sloppy middleweight debut against Felix Sturm 3 months ago. But then came a shock. Hopkins came in light too.
156 pounds, Bernard Hopkins!
Only 11 stone 2 pounds, his lightest for 13 years. Is Hopkins trying to outspeed the speedster, or is he giving away his natural size advantage?
Bernard Hopkins is just as fast as De La Hoya. Bernard Hopkins is an all-around fighter, and Bernard Hopkins can do things that De La Hoya can't do.
I don't care who I'm fighting a silhouette. Doesn't matter who it is. My body's prepared to win, and win I'm going to do.
Must say, De La Hoya looked great. We knew he'd come in light, but Hopkins, that was a surprise, Jim. 11 stone 2.
Yeah, it was a shock. That's the lightest Bernard Hopkins has been for 13 years. But the man is so meticulous in his preparations. We have to assume that he's done this on purpose. Maybe he's working for speed and he wants to beat De La Hoya at his own game.
Or is he giving something away? The match is made at 11 stone 4. Why didn't he come in at that and say, I'm the big middleweight here. What are you going to do about that?
But he's never been a massive middleweight, and he's only 2 pounds lighter than he normally is. So I think maybe it's some mind games. You never know what to expect from Hopkins. Maybe it's mind games again.
Smoke screens, bluffs, counter bluffs. I think we're in for a real history night here in Vegas.
It is the quest for history. And Nigel, is that even more important than $50 million in the pot for this one?
Tonight's going to be an absolutely great night. And me personally, I fancy Bernard Hopkins. I think it's going to be a great night in here, but I do fancy Bernard Hopkins.
How about both of these two accepting the challenge? Just the kind of thing you were always prepared to do in your own career. And would that be why you have such an identification with Hopkins?
Well, to me, Hopkins, I think, he's 39 and he's a supreme athlete. I just fancy him all the way. He's strong and he's a proper middleweight.
What about De La Hoya's willingness to accept the challenge?
I think he just wants to try and prove himself, and I think it's just a step too far.
Do you salute him for wanting to do it nonetheless?
Me personally, if I was De La Hoya, I would have been out of the game a long time, but you know, that's another story.
You know, they've achieved so much, Johnny, but despite everything they've done to this point, will we ultimately write them into the history books on the basis of what they do here?
Definitely. Hopkins, he's demanded recognition, and for everything he's done in his career, he's never got the recognition that De La Hoya has got. So to go in there and beat up De La Hoya, that is what he wants to do. He can cause trouble in an empty room, Hopkins. You see when he walked Trinidad and he burnt the flag, you saw the way in there, what he was doing to the crowd, wind up the crowd. Whereas De La Hoya needs this, and he's trained so hard for this because he knows this guy can hurt him, and I feel pace is the key.
Barry, you did tell us during the week that you do believe that size ultimately will decide this, the natural middleweight against a man who started his career at super featherweight, De La Hoya. So what went on at the weigh-in, and what is the thinking behind it?
It's very interesting. The agreed weight apparently was 11 stone 4, and yet Hopkins comes in at 11 stone 2 and De La Hoya comes in at 11 stone 1. Was it maybe, could it have been 11 stone 2? Who knows? All I'll tell you is this, at 40 years old, coming in at 11 stone 2, he looks
and that's
really
not by accident, is it?
No,
that's a plan.
Well, that's obviously a plan, but has he got the wrong plan? He looked very gaunt looking, he looked very stripped, and at 40 years old it's harder to replenish the body. It's more difficult to take the weight off. It's also more difficult to put it back on again. And if it's a pacey fight like Johnny's suggesting, like Nigel is hinting at as well, will it affect him? Will it affect his punch resistance?
Anybody can get down to the weight, and you can get down to whatever weight you want to get down to. The thing is, can you work at that weight? When you box, you've got to be your fittest, your fittest.
Shades of Nigel Benn really wasting to make weight.
No, but I still think that he's got a chip on his shoulder, I think, Bernard Hopkins. But
we all know that.
But the difference is, I think, like Johnny said, I think he needs the recognition, and that's what he's fighting for, and I think he will do it.
It is the fight for the undisputed world middleweight title, and the climax, of course. But it's a fantastic night of action all the way here. Also in Las Vegas, Juan Manuel Marquez defends his WBA and IBF world featherweight titles against fellow Mexican Orlando Salido. But coming straight up from Puerto Rico, young Miguel Cotto against Kelson Pinto. They meet for the vacant WBO World Light Welterweight title, and more world title action from there, with Daniel Santos defending his WBO World Light Middleweight crown in a rematch with Antonio Margarito. All that in the build-up to the big one. De La Hoya against Hopkins, and just a reminder, if you cannot stay with us, there are repeats at 9 a.m. and again at noon later today. And if you have ordered this special event on Sky Box Office and experience any difficulty receiving it, the number to call 08705 800 888. That's 08705 800 888. So much to look forward to. After the break, we'll get straight to the action with our first world title fight.
This fellow just looks like $1 million, Miguel Cotto. And that's the concussive power of Kelson Pinto.
Time to get the World Championship action underway on this very special occasion. We go first to Puerto Rico for the matchup of two of the most exciting talents in the light welterweight division. The home favourite, 23-year-old Miguel Cotto, tipped for great things right from the start of his pro career, now bidding to become WBO World Champion, but facing one of the division's real danger men in Brazilian puncher Kelson Pinto. Glenn McCrory and Adam Smith for commentary after our MC, Michael Buffer.
Primero, en la esquina azul, pesando 139 libras. Récord profesional, 20 peleas, 20 victorias con 18 knockout y 0 derrotas. 139 pounds, undefeated in 20 bouts with 20 victories and 18 KOs. De Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. Aquí es el invicto Kelson Pinto. En la esquina roja, pesando 140 libras, récord profesional, 20 peleas, 20 victorias con 16 knockouts y 0 derrotas. 140 pounds, undefeated in 20 bouts also, 20 victories, 16 KOs. Damas y caballeros, el invicto peleador puertorriqueño a Caguas, Puerto Rico, Miguel Cotto.
Fabulous atmosphere, packed arena, 20,000 with us in the Coliseo de Puerto Rico here in San Juan. Real buzz of excitement, one of the most eagerly anticipated clashes of 2004. And a rare and wonderful occasion when two young, hungry, undefeated fighters agree to a vital meeting. Lucrative contract awaits the victor here as Miguel Cotto brings his unblemished 20-fight record to the table, and Kelson Pinto brings his. Roberto Ramirez with the Spanish introductions. Something has got to give. The vacant WBO light welterweight title, the prize at stake. Cotto starts favourite, but Pinto, Glenn, did defeat him twice in the amateurs. How crucial is that?
Well, it's very important for Pinto. He's got the edge in confidence because he's done it before. Remember, he's the elder of the two. He's 27. Cotto's still young at 23. Is he ready for this opportunity?
Here's the first round. Miguel Cotto's acid test to date. Between him and Kelson Pinto, 40 fights, 40 wins, most by knockout. Cotto, better schooled, looks solid at the beginning. And Pinto, loose-limbed, tall, rangy, but carrying the left hand very low.
This is a sharp start for Cotto, who at times can be pretty relaxed and never in a hurry. This time, he looks like he means business.
Decked in his Puerto Rican colours, the man from Caguas, who started boxing at 11. Pinto started at 7, but he's been caught by a left hook in the opener.
Both looking to set their feet and load up very early on.
Cotto gets his jab into play. What's been particularly impressive on the way up for Miguel Cotto is the way he's used his defense as well as his offense. We know Pinto can really bang, but what about when he gets hit on the chin? It's a fascinating one.
It's a very good matchup. Real excitement. Pinto just carrying the hands a little bit low. Has to be wary of that against Cotto.
But he has knocked out 18 opponents, many in the first round. There is huge force behind those long arcing shots of Kelson Pinto, and he's trying to get his right hand into play.
But it's good work off the jab from Cotto. He's hurt him there with the left hook.
That registered on the face of Kelson Pinto, who goes into a crouch. And look at Cotto, body and head shots. And at the moment, it's the Puerto Rican who's made the more polished start.
Cotto really means business. He's loading up, but he's got that nice relaxed style. Keeps his hands tight.
Proving a bit too easy to hit. Kelson Pinto, who comes back with a barrage of his own, but is again hurt. Quality from Cotto in the first round.
Cotto looking very sharp, really purposeful. But the defense of Pinto is bad. He's got the hands down.
So tall at 6 foot, the 27-year-old from Brazil. Cotto just more organised, compact, left hook to the body. Pinto complains, but he's worried. What a start.
Good round there for Cotto. He looked so good. Started this time in a hurry. He wanted to get in there, get the shots off as quick as he could, and a very good start. And that was Cotto's round.
There's Evangelista Cotto, his uncle, in the corner. Miguel Diaz and Jose Gomez as well. Family affair. His father takes him running on the athletics track about 15 minutes away from here. Blistering start.
Very, very good start for Cotto. He got the jab working well, and then he looked to get the hooks on. It was that left hook that had Pinto in a little bit of trouble. And Pinto looking disorganized, the hands were down.
They wait for the bows. Second round here, the vacant WBO 10-stone title on the line. First world chance for both of these undefeated prospects. The belt was vacated by Zab Judah, who moved to welterweight, but it's the 10-stone boys that are really buzzing at the moment, and Cotto and Pinto are two of the very exciting ones. Good work from Kelson Pinto there on the inside.
Pinto looking to load up, but every time he does, the hands are down, and it's Cotto who lands.
Leaves himself wide open, Pinto.
Yes, the defense is very poor. Certainly got to get those hands up.
He has blown away so many, Kelson Pinto, but inferior grade of opposition, and Cotto's been well schooled by his promotional outfit of Top Rank, who have steadily brought in better and better former champions like Cesar Bazan that he's got his teeth into. They've done well with him.
Yes, he's coming along very well, and he looks prepared. Always admired his class. Very relaxed, but he had to take one on the way in there.
The left hook from Pinto was a good shot, who's been training up in the Big Bear Mountains pretty much ever since the fight with Ricky Hatton fell through, and believes he's got Cotto's number because of those 2 wins over him in the amateurs. But this is years later in the professional ring. Who has improved more?
Pinto trying to push Cotto on the back foot, trying to take the play away from him. But you want to see Pinto use the jab a little better.
Good defense there, gloves up well from Miguel Cotto. And a good left hook there on the inside. Down goes Pinto, all over the place here in the second round. Puts his gloves up as if to say, what on earth happened there? He was almost thrown around there like a rag doll, Kelson Pinto. He's never been hit like that before, I would suspect.
Well, it's the defense of Pinto that's letting him down. He's wild, he's trying to get big shots off, but he's not thinking about his own defense.
Massive breakthrough for Miguel Cotto, who all round at the moment looks a much better prospect and fighter. Coming through, left hook to the body from Cotto as well. Real intense stuff from the Puerto Rican youngster.
Good work again from Cotto. Pinto tried to take the fight to him, but he wasn't landing, and so often he had his hands down, and he was made to pay for that.
Luis Carlos Dorea, Ricardo Maldonado, his promoter, in the corner. They've got to get the water on him. They've got to wake him up, Kelson Pinto. It's all very well having the power, Glenn, and being able to go forward with that, but you've got to be able to keep your gloves up as well and protect yourself.
Well, he looks as if he's trying to just rely on the power. He's got that good reputation, but leaving himself over, and you can't do that with Cotto. He's got his hands up, great defense and better accuracy.
The right hand and then the cuffing left hook left Pinto sprawled on the canvas. Dramatic moments already in this clash. 21st fight for both men. Miguel Cotto in the Puerto Rican colours with all their former world champions emblazed on his shorts. He hopes to become another. The Brazilian colours of the tall, rangy Kelson Pinto. Desperately trying to make a mark, but he's having problems.
He's just got such good timing. He's very relaxed. He's in range all the time, Cotto.
Someone's O has got to go has been the slogan attached to this one. It's a great fight, both prepared to take that risk. I think Cotto will be happy to fight anybody. He's that sort of guy.
He's so well-rounded. He's been brought along steadily. He's had the tests when he needed them, and now what you see is a very good fighter.
Pinto tries to get the jab out. He has got the reach on Cotto, who's a little quieter in this session. Maybe the tactics are to try and outbox Miguel Cotto, who did have some problems against Lovemore and Doe last time out.
Well, this is better from Pinto, who's using the jab and just going quiet a little bit, Cotto.
This is better from Kelson Pinto, who himself won 4 national amateur titles, and in many people's views was a better amateur than Cotto.
Again, he just occasionally looks very, very wild, Pinto, and that's when Cotto has the best chance of catching him with a punch.
So many big punchers have that air of vulnerability around them too, and look at the way Cotto throws his shots but keeps his chin tucked down in that sort of crouch-like style.
Yes, he doesn't waste anything, keeps the hands nice and tight, just looking for a counter punch.
Slashing right from Kelson Pinto, who's come back well from that knockdown, grown in confidence, but just as we say that, a stinging counter from Miguel Cotto once again has Pinto's eyes all over the place.
Yes, Pinto, a good round he's had, but then just drops his hands and allows Cotto to get the accuracy, to get the good punch on.
Oh, left and right to the chin of Kelson Pinto. He can't carry on like this with his hands down. Defense nowhere, and after a good round from the Brazilian, he let it all go to pot in the last 20 seconds.
Well, Pinto was doing so well there. He had the right tactics. He was in and out behind the jab, and Cotto just couldn't get to him, but then right at the end left the hand down, and another good shot from Cotto.
Is this about discipline? Are we seeing a more intelligent fighter against a raw one?
I think that's exactly what it is. He's so disorganized, Pinto. The hands come down. You can't afford to give Cotto chances like that.
Taking these hard shots, Kelson Pinto. Can he get back to his boxing? If he doesn't, this is going to turn into a complete nightmare here in Puerto Rico. Fabulous light welterweight division. Costas Hugh and Shande Mitchell to fight soon. Floyd Mayweather's just joined. Arturo Gatti still going strong, and Ricky Hatton back home. I wonder what he's thinking of all this. He was due to fight Pinto Maybe he will get it on with Cotto somewhere down the line. He's got his own business against American Mike Stewart to take care of in October. Big chance for one of these names to come through and become a real superstar.
It's a terrific chance, and at the minute it is Cotto who's taking that opportunity. He's doing the better boxing. In the third, Pinto just seemed to have the right answers. Start the box in and out and use that jab, but then Cotto got him towards the end.
The jab from Pinto that gave him that bit of success in the third round. Right hook to the body, has got some speed, and occasionally Cotto just looks a little slow, but all of a sudden he then comes out with those very, very fast hooks.
Well, Pinto has the answer when he moves about. That's when Cotto has a little bit of trouble.
Same grimace on the face of Miguel Cotto. Such an amiable guy outside of the ring. Family man, married, 3 children, Luis, Alondra and Miguel Jr. who'll all be watching, and Kelson Pinto needs to be watching his defence, because those shots are going through with more regularity. He just can't miss him.
No, he's just got such a better style than Pinto. Look where the hands are. You know, he's far too relaxed. Cotto always got the hands up. Good God.
He's had these tests, Cotto. He's taken apart Victoriana Sosa and Demetrio Caballos, whereas Pinto's biggest name is Emmanuel Burton or Augustus, who took in the distance over 10 rounds. Education's been better for Cotto.
Yes, he's had the better fights, the better results. Pinto is the bigger puncher, but just fighting in a class lesser than Cotto.
Still trying to get his punches on, very game and brave, still with big belief, Kelson Pinto.
Pinto certainly doing a little better and just tends to go to sleep often in the round, Cotto. That's one of the criticisms we've had in the past.
Was very nervous earlier in the week, Miguel Cotto, performing in front of his Puerto Rican fans. He likes to do that, but there is enormous pressure on him tonight.
And for me, Pinto just getting himself back into this fight a little bit. I've given him the last 2 rounds. He's had some good spells in it, Cotto, but he's just not doing enough work.
Really is in very, very good shape, Kelson Pinto. What now of this Miguel Cotto? Doesn't give much away from that expression. Here's the 5th. Kelson Pinto and Miguel Cotto have entertained us for the opening 4. Pinto has been down on the canvas, but has come back and boxed well at times. His power hasn't seemed to have had an effect on Cotto yet, though.
No, it hasn't, but that's because he's not really catching Cotto clean. Cotto's got a good defense. See how he keeps the hands nice and tight.
Again, Pinto behind the long, raking jab. Is that the answer to outbox Miguel Cotto? Make him look pedestrian. That's what he did in the amateurs.
Yeah, if anything, Cotto sometimes is just a little bit slow with his feet to get close to Pinto.
But is he just waiting his moment, Miguel Cotto? Never in a rush with anything, but when he puts his combinations together, well, they are scything and vicious. Good uppercut from Pinto, though, on the inside, moved out well there.
Yes, he's having his successes Pinto, it's certainly the boxing that suits him. It's when he tries to load up, that's when he gets caught.
And again with the uppercut right over the top, but a good left from Cotto back, and chin in the air when Pinto goes backwards.
Some nice work inside there from Pinto, but a good right hand from Cotto.
Just coming out better in these exchanges. Miguel Cotto, left hook into the rib cage of Kelson Pinto. Accuracy as well from Cotto.
Cotto could just do with stepping up the work rate a little bit. It's Pinto who's throwing more punches.
A good action here in the 5th round. This has not disappointed us. Terrific matchup on paper, and in reality it's developing very nicely. Has Pinto just got a foothold back into this through his boxing skills? Oh, but a good jab from Cotto. Unleashes the leather. Look at the fast hands working, and he's got to take another count, Kelson Pinto. It was a blistering attack from Miguel Cotto, who at times looked absolutely sensational.
He does it again. He turns it on near the end of the round. Last 30 seconds, that's when he starts working.
Big attack. Pinto very wary on his feet as he drops onto his stool in that far corner.
Keep the hands up. Keep the hands up.
Pinto now starting to feel the pace. It's getting hard for him.
Start moving around to his right.
Cut above the left eye as well for Kelson Pinto to add to his troubles. He gets into a little bit of a rhythm, but once Cotto explodes, the defence is all over the place from Pinto.
The defence is non-existent at times, and that's his problem. He boxed so well for 2.5 minutes. He was doing the better work. He had the bigger work rate, but then let it all go last 30 seconds with some very good work from Cotto.
Look, more hurt there, Kelson Pinto, than when he went down in the 2nd. Here's the 6th round. Cotto very fast out of his corner, catches Pinto with a huge right hand, and the Brazilian in desperate trouble on the ropes. The punches rain in, and Kelson Pinto goes down for the 3rd and maybe final time. Miguel Cotto stands on the threshold. Roberto Ramirez waves it off, and Miguel Cotto wins his first world title. Graduation night for the Puerto Rican gem, and I wonder, Glenn, if that's the first of many.
Well, I would think so. We've been impressed with Cotto right from the start. He's always looked a great prospect, and now I think he'll be a great champion. It was a terrific finish. He hurt Pinto and then didn't let him off the hook.
Look at the delighted fans all around us here in Puerto Rico. They have arguably the best young fighter on the planet, Miguel Cotto. A disciplined, controlled performance, cutting Kelson Pinto to books. And you've got to give credit to Bob Arum there as well for the way they brought Cotto through, and in the end that was the difference.
Well, Bob Arum has always said this is a star in the making, and I think that was just him on the first step on the path to stardom.
Miguel Angel Cotto, 23 years of age, and he produces this sort of a performance against an unbeaten, dangerous prospect.
Very, very good finish. We've seen some very good things from Cotto. This time he was in more of a hurry. He wanted to get his man out of there, and he did so in very good style.
The first defeat ever for Kelson Pinto. And Miguel Cotto has that sort of touch, the rounded abilities, oozing class, and he is the danger for any of the light welterweights out there.
En el campeón del mundo superligero de Caguas, Puerto Rico, Miguel Cotto.
Miguel Cotto taking his first world title and sending out a serious statement.
Were you determined in the first round to go out and send a message to him, I'm a different fighter than the one you fought 4 years ago?
Tú tenías la determinación en el primer round de mandarle un mensaje que yo soy un peleador diferente hoy en día del que tú conocías antes.
Él lo sabía, él sabe los oponentes que yo me he enfrentado, él sabe con la calidad de oponentes a los cuales él se ha enfrentado. Pero sí, estoy frente a mi gente, frente a mi público, y no podía caber duda de que esta noche iba a ganar Miguel Cotto.
Absolutely, I knew I was send him a message, but he knew the message because he knew my record, all the good fighters that I have fought, and I'm in front of my people. I couldn't let him down.
When you went into a sort of defensive counter-punching style with your gloves around your head, was that planned or was that something you improvised because you saw how wide his punches were?
Cuando tú te fuiste en un modo medio defensivo, ¿eso fue algo que tú calculaste hacer o era por lo que él te estaba pegando?
No, eso fue un plan, fue algo que ya teníamos en mente. Trabajamos muy fuerte durante estos 2 meses y medio y sabíamos que no cabía la derrota en este equipo.
No, we have planned on this. If things got a little rough, we worked so hard that if things are wrong, I will go into a little defense.
You heard him at the end of the previous round to the last round. Could you see that he was dazed because you tore out of the corner right after him, thinking you could knock him out?
Lo golpeaste y lo heriste en el penúltimo round. Sentías tú que al principio del próximo round tú le brincaste encima y ya era cosa de tiempo.
No, sí, sabíamos que estaba herido desde el primer knockdown. Vimos en su cara que estaba herido. Y nos gritaron de la esquina, utiliza la derecha, salió a la derecha y lo paralizó por completo.
We knew that he was hurt in the previous round, and my corner said, jump on him right away, and that's what we did.
And how? How taken were you with that, Nigel?
I think he's different class. I absolutely can't see anybody living with him. He's still young, still growing. I think to me he's going to be the world champion for a long, long time.
And watching that performance at home in Puerto Rico, did you get the sense that this is yet another major talent from that island?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. He's a legend in the making, like Phoenix Trinidad.
High praise here, Johnny.
You've got to give it him how Cotto went about the fight. He was planting his feet, he was determined. Even after the fight, looking at his face, it was a matter of fact. It was just one of those things. That's what he expected, that's what he trained for. You've got to give credit where credit's deserved.
You've been there, and indeed, WBO world champion yourself, of course. When you make that step to perform at world title level for the first time, it needs something extra. Did he show that little bit of...
Yeah, it either makes people or breaks people.
Indeed.
And he stepped up to the plate, and he boxed better than what anybody expected, and definitely Pinto didn't expect that. And you know what, you can see there's still more growth there. He'll get even better than that.
Barry, you know, in fairness to you, you have always told us that this man is somebody who can be very special. Is that the best you've seen of him so far?
No, in fact, it's not the best I've seen him. It's what I expected. He's an exceptional talent, and Bob Barham done a great job with him. The way he handled Victoriano Sosa, the way he handled
This was a different performance, though, as
but
being
this was
said
a
in
great
commentary.
performance. This was an unbeaten guy who'd beaten him twice as an amateur, and from the get-go, he was just too good for him. Look at the way he's developed as a professional. Look at how tight his defence is. That left hook up close was amazing. And again, he didn't panic. He had caught with a good left hook, and yet came out himself with a left hook. And punching range, he's so dangerous. Look at that. That was that right hand as he walked forward. The little short right hand, the cuffing left hook.
Some people will question Pinto's punch resistance. What would you say to that?
I don't believe that. Look, the guy's unbeaten. He's knocked out everybody. He's fought Pinto. The only fellow who's taken him the distance is what do they call it?
He went with Emmanuel Burton.
Emmanuel Augustus went the distance with him, but this guy's a real puncher, and he just took him apart. He dissected him.
What I will question about Pinto is why couldn't he change his tactics? He kept getting put down with the same shot every time.
I appreciate that, Johnny, but I'll tell you why he couldn't change his tactics, because this guy's too good. That's simply what he is. And I agree with Nigel. I think he's the best light welterweight in the world, including Floyd Mayweather. He is the hottest thing in the world, and he's incredibly good.
We'll come on to that again in just a moment or two, but just the tactics of that performance by Cotto, did that show you different things? I think you've told us before, Johnny, how impressed you were by his ability to control the pace of a fight.
That's right. To me, the pace of a fight means everything. It spells out how a fight's going to turn out. And Cotto, he stayed complacent. He was nice and calm. And even when he had him going, he wasn't excited or overzealous. And at that level, he showed a lot of experience, a lot of good nerve.
Maturity. I think it's his calmness, isn't it, Johnny? It's how cool he is in punch range. That's what his hands are tight. He's in cool. When you're in the groove and the punches are winging over your head, it's then when he comes to the top. That's where he looks so. But
again, with Pinto, what let me down, as far as I was concerned, was Pinto couldn't change his style. Number one. Number two, he just was trying to fight him instead of boxing.
But the new champion is certainly on his way, isn't he? What next for Cotto? Actually, he got on a plane straight off to Las Vegas, taking advice here from Roberto Duran, just one of the legends drawn to this week's big event. And his promoters no fears about putting him into another big test.
Is such a professional and is such a guy that fears nothing, that we would love to come over to England with Cotto and fight Ricky Hatton right in the belly of the beast in Manchester. I think that would be a tremendous, tremendous event.
We call that throwing down the gauntlet. Here's how Hatton's promoter responds.
It'd be a great fight, but before that, Ricky's obviously fighting on the 1st of October in Manchester, and he's got an eliminator, final eliminator for the IBF title, which hopefully, and will, if he wins the fight, put him in a position where he fights the winner of Costa Tszyu and Sharma Mitchell. Tszyu is considered to be the best in the world. I think it's a tough fight, him and Sharma Mitchell. I fancy Mitchell may upset Costa Tszyu because he's been out for a while, but whatever the result is, they are considered to be the two best guys in the world. Cotto's the new kid on the block. Ricky at the moment, it's great. He's in a position where he's mandatory challenger. He could be mandatory challenger to those two guys, and is now mandatory challenger to Cotto. And I know Bob Arum said he's interested in coming over and doing a joint promotion over here, so it's something we'll look at. But first of all, obviously we've got to get the 1st of October out of the way. Ricky will fight anybody. Ricky's not the problem. Ricky Hatton will fight anybody. It's a question of making, as I always say, the right moves at the right time. We've got to sit down and talk, because at the end of the day, he's the guy who's fighting. He's going to make the decision which one to fight. There are two ways for us to go, and make the right decision. Ideally, I'd like to see him fight. If it is Costa Tszyu, I'd like to see him fight Costa Tszyu, because I think Ricky beats him. I really do think that. And then, maybe fight Cotto for all the titles. Then you've got a mega fight. One thing's for sure, he's got to fight one of these guys. We all know that, you know that, and I know that, and Ricky wants it. So it'll be one of those big names.
So Barry, Ricky Hatton right now, WBO mandatory, might have the chance to meet Cotto within 180 days. Frank Warren suggests, as an alternative, possibly lining Ricky Hatton up for the winner of Mitchell against Costa Tszyu.
I wouldn't touch him with a 40-foot pole. Not right at this stage. I think.
Who? Sorry?
Hatton should not go near Cotto right now. I don't think.
And do you think that's in Frank Warren's mind, that it's just too difficult?
I think it's a much too dangerous a fight. What I think he's doing exactly the right thing. He should go in and look for the winner of Costa Tszyu and Sharma Mitchell. That is a fight he can win. He really can win that. Then he can beat the drum for a big fight. This is too dangerous an opponent to fight right now. Cotto's going to go on to greater things. He's going to develop as a fighter, and I just don't think Ricky's ready for this guy right now. I think the fight to take is the winner of the Costa Tszyu and the Sharma Mitchell fight.
Nigel, you are close to Ricky Hatton. Indeed, you've spent time with him before his last fight against Vilches in Manchester, didn't you? And Ricky's so passionate, so keen to fight, be tested against the very best. Did you sense his impatience?
Yeah, but the difference is, I think the kind of people Ricky's been fighting, I don't think they're on the same level as Cotto. There's a big gap between.
Have you told him that?
I've told him that he needs to be more busy with some live wires, because I think you're going to fall into that state where you feel that you can beat everybody, but you ain't fighting top class people. Me personally, and I think fighting Cotto.
Is he listening to you?
I'm trying to, but it's down to the promoter. I think Ricky will fight anybody.
Yeah,
but me personally, I think 3 hard fights before you even dream of thinking about fighting.
I agree with that entirely. This is a business. This is a business. You take the best opportunities that come. There is a great fight. Kostya is recognised as the undisputed champion, even though he's been out for a year and a half with an injury. This is a fight in November against him and Mitchell. The winner of that would be an ideal fight for him. But I think Cotto would be too much too soon. He needs more active fights.
There is obviously the worry, and fans across the country are telling us all the time that they are worried that Ricky Hatton, in this division at this time, with more and more talent coming in at light welterweight, he's just getting shuffled back in the pack.
I've said it from the beginning of the year, this is the best we are going to see of Ricky Hatton. And if it is good enough, so be it. But I think if the opportunities are there, get Ricky in there. If he can do it, he can do it. He's not going to get any better. This is the best we've seen of Ricky Hatton.
Short term, all he's got to do is keep winning. Hatton is right now preparing to return to action. In fact, he's our top of the bill on our next Friday fight night. That's coming on Friday night, October the 1st, 10 o'clock start on Sky Sports 1 that night. Ricky Hatton lined up to meet Mike Stewart and hopefully get himself in line for maybe Sue or Mitchell.
Yeah.
We hope. After the break, more on the build-up to tonight's big one in Las Vegas, of course. And from Puerto Rico, more world title action.
The answer, Daniel Santos. The full range of shots from Margarito.
I think Oscar's speed equalizes the fight somewhat, but I don't think he's ever been in the ring with someone who is the same kind of mentality that Bernard Hopkins has, which is win at all costs.
Oscar basically going to the outside, using his jab, building a lead, and then Hopkins is going to, for the first time in his career, have to chase him. And his 39-year-old legs are going to prove an undoing.
I think Oscar's going to clearly try to box. I don't think he's going to be able to handle Hopkins' physical superiority. I expect Bernard to win a fight, fairly easy fight, Hopkins TKO 10.
I think if Oscar can fight in a very controlled way and keep his stamina good for 12 rounds and use his speed and move and jab and not fade the way he did against Trinidad or decide not to fight, then he has a good chance to pull out the decision in this fight.
They can't make their minds up, but it's got them all talking, hasn't it? And it's not just about the accolade as undisputed world middleweight champion tonight. An even greater accolade is a possibility for the winner, undisputed world #1 pound for pound. Adam Smith.
The biggest boxing debate centres on who is the best pound-for-pound fighter. The most skilled and proven champion throughout the 17 weight classes. Now Oscar de la Hoya, who's captured world titles at more weights than anyone else in history, takes on Bernard Hopkins, the longest reigning middleweight holder of all time. The prize, ultimate recognition.
I've just been working extremely hard. I feel great. I feel fast. I have a lot of energy, so I can capture those world titles and call myself the undisputed champion.
He's fighting the best middleweight in the last 10, 15 years. He's fighting a middleweight that has 18 defenses. De La Hoya be 19. He's fighting a middleweight that is determined, to continue to win.
In the bigger picture, Lennox Lewis's retirement has left the heavyweight division wide open. So Roy Jones was seen as pound for pound #1 until he was stunned by Antonio Tarver.
Nobody, but nobody thought Roy Jones could be taken apart like this.
Changing times lower down the weights too. Marco Antonio Barrera was a strong challenger for pound best until he ran into Manny Pacquiao.
Barrera is blown away by a tornado from the Far East.
Mexican rival Eric Morales is quietly notching up several world titles at different weights. So too the brilliant Floyd Mayweather, who remains unbeaten and very much in the argument. But Oscar De La Hoya has won 8 belts at 6 different weights and has been at the top for years. While Bernard Hopkins has held his middleweight crown for almost a decade. Now these elite champions collide and stake their claims for being pound-for-pound king.
I feel that this fight here it's for everything. It's for history. It's for all the marbles. And I just feel that, you know, we have to be very prepared and just in great shape and just go out there and do our job.
I always have no doubt in my mind that I'm the best fighter in the world, pound for pound, and also the best middleweight in the world.
And that's where he starts for us. Hopkins at the top of the pile. Eric Morales. Barry's been trying to state his claims, as you may have heard this week. Floyd Mayweather also rising through the weights successfully now, and also standing above Oscar De La Hoya. Johnny, if De La Hoya does pull this off tonight, does he replace Hopkins as pound for pound number 1?
Not really, no. In my opinion, I just think these two fights are made for each other. Hopkins has dominated the division for so long. I think it's just a situation. If Oscar De La Hoya can outpace Hopkins on this fight, he's done a good job. But I wouldn't put him down as the best pound for pound middleweight going.
I think Bernard Hopkins, to me, he deserves to be number 1. He's defended the title 18 times, ain't been beaten in 10 years. Says a lot.
And pound for pound relative to some of the other talents, Nigel, at world level, in other divisions?
Yeah, I think so.
You didn't hear Barry, did you?
Can I disagree with that? Look, it's a subjective thing, and pound for pound, I'm not so sure it's such a good idea to talk about it in this. It is a subjective thing, it's a personal thing, but for me, some guy who's come out of his weight division, who's taken a risk, who's gone from super featherweight, lightweight, light welterweight, light middle, and middle, has got to be better than the guy that stays in his weight division. Okay, there's been a couple of controversial losses, one clear loss against Shane Mosley, but undoubtedly this guy stands, to me, ranks way above him.
Barry,
Eric Morales come from super bantam to featherweight to super featherweight. Don't tell me that's not better than staying in one division.
I hear what you're saying, but you've got certain guys that are in certain weight divisions, like Roy Jones has stepped up to heavyweight, but he made sure he fought certain heavyweights. He wouldn't box the big guys like your Klitschko's or your Mike Tyson, but it's good to mention his name.
So who has Oscar De La Hoya avoided?
He's avoided nobody. Right. And this is a big piece of cake he's bit off to chew.
I take my hat off to De La Hoya. De La Hoya might not win tonight, but my God, he's taken chances that nobody else has taken. He's gone up to 160 pounds, he's gone 2 stone up. To me, he deserves more credit than anybody.
I knew this would result in a big argument. Can we actually agree among ourselves as gentlemen that the winner tonight can claim to be considered pound for pound world number 1 after this, Nigel?
I think so, yeah. I think I'm going for Bernard Hopkins there.
Johnny Nelson was shaking his head in disagreement. You might get another turn a little bit later on. What is beyond dispute, De La Hoya, to this point, an unprecedented 6-weight world champion. And in Las Vegas, there is one chance tonight to do something that means even more than any of those achievements. And that's why surely there's such a buzz building there now. Let's get to the venue. Jim and Ian.
Well, we're in the lobby at the MGM, the atmosphere growing all the time, the fans arriving in their thousands now. And do you know something? By the end of tonight, these two will have completed 49 World Championship fights. And I reckon, Jim, this would be De La Hoya's biggest ever win if he pulls it off.
Yep, unquestionably. And you only have to look at De La Hoya's face to see the seriousness of the task. But I think it's a bigger fight for Bernard Hopkins. I think De La Hoya's place in history is secure. But this is the fight Bernard Hopkins will be remembered for. He must win this fight. He cannot slip tonight. He must win, and I'm sure he'll find a way to do that.
De La Hoya said that win or lose, this is probably going to be his last fight, but he's absolutely determined to go out on a big, big high. I think he knows he's in the fight of his life, doesn't he?
I think he does. His whole attitude suggests that. And there were no more challenges for him after this. He wouldn't want to defend the middleweight title. This would crown a glorious career. Good luck to him, but for me, he's just bitten off a little bit more than he can chew.
Well, this great fight here is getting ever closer. Join us again soon.
But before we go back to Las Vegas, more world title action coming from the bill in Puerto Rico featuring Daniel Santos, another big hero in his home country, but still with something to prove, you feel, the WBO World Light Middleweight champion in a rematch against the reigning welterweight champion Antonio Margarito. The first meeting was entirely unsatisfactory, stopped early after a clash of heads. Let's see how this one transpired. We go back there to Adam and Glenn McCrory for commentary after our MC Michael Buffer.
Primero en la esquina roja, pesando 153 libras, récord profesional, 30 victorias con 21 knockout y 3 derrotas. 153 pounds, he has 30 victories, including 21 knockouts with 3 defeats. Damas y caballeros de Tijuana, México, el ratador, el campeón del mundo welter, Antonio Margarito. En la esquina azul, pesando 154 libras, récord profesional, 28 victorias con 20 knockouts, 2 derrotas y un empate. 154 pounds, 28 victories, including 20 KOs with 2 defeats and 1 draw. Damas y caballeros, el campeón del mundo super welter de Bayamón, Puerto Rico, Daniel Santos.
Interesting rematch between two world champions. San Juan's own 28-year-old Daniel Santos making the 4th defense of his 11-stone title, and Tijuana's Antonio Margarito, the WBO welterweight holder, moving up. Luis Pabon with the short Spanish introductions. Margarito aiming to become a 2-time two-weight holder. Virtually impossible to assess their first meeting, except to say that we hope there is not such an unsatisfactory conclusion. Remember, that was halted in the very first round with an accidental clash of heads. Fingers crossed their different styles will gel well this time around.
Well, I think that the problem for Margarito is facing the southpaw. That often when you get the two styles like that, the heads will clash, and he's got to be very, very careful, Margarito.
But what sort of Daniel Santos in the black and yellow trunks will we see tonight? One that boxes in patches, or one with determination who can unleash power? Has got 20 knockouts. That's a good straight left hand, and it might be the strength at light middleweight that will trouble Margarito.
Already we're seeing the heads come together, and Santos came off worse there. He turned away for a second.
Margarito turns southpaw. Maybe that's his plan, to confuse Santos. Good left hook following that volley of punches from Margarito, who's so teak tough and brave and determined. Very hard to get the better of.
Well, already he's looking to try and upset the rhythm of Santos, and he's getting through with his left hand, boxing now out of the southpaw stance.
Interesting tactical move early from Antonio Margarito. First fight up at the light middleweight limit came in at 10-13. And countering from Santos, and the crowd already on their feet around us. A better start, a better fight than when they last fought.
He just seemed to wobble a little bit there, Margarito. Santos getting the better of these exchanges.
Is he just a blown-up welterweight, Antonio Margarito? He's never been stopped but those punches did seem to have an effect here in the opener.
Clubbing left hand there from Santos. He's looking strong.
Slightly worried look on the face of Antonio Margarito. He's had to take some punches in the first. He's turned back to the orthodox stance, a little confused now, and the crowd are thrilled with that start.
That round was for Santos. He got the better of it, let his shots go well, and at one point you just saw Margarito had been hurt there. She seemed a bit cautious and then went back to his orthodox stance.
Javier Capetillo, as always, with Antonio Margarito already. Luis Pabon going in and saying, watch the heads.
There's a good left hand from Margarito, but it was Santos who came back. He seemed to get the better of it as that one went low.
Why is Margarito turning southpaw back to orthodox and doing something I've never seen him do before?
No, I think he thinks he'll have more effect boxing down the southpaw stance, but he's got to be careful. He got caught with a shot there and he quickly reverted back to orthodox.
Here's the second round, the WBO light middleweight title on the line, the 33 appearance in a professional ring of Daniel Santos with the black boots and trunks against the Mexican colors of Antonio Margarito, and already Luis Pabon is getting very involved. There's some tape loose on the left glove, or is that just Vaseline, I think, on there, that was wiped off by trainer Alejandro de la Torre. Back to the action, which was already heating up in the first.
Margarito has to try and take the play away from Santos. He's got to get in and try and rough Santos up.
This was the round that Daniel Santos took out Neil Sinclair back home in Sheffield a few years ago, but he was down in the first round and there were a few worries about his chin in those earlier parts of his career. Can Margarito expose a possible weakness there? Good left counter from Santos. He's got fast hands.
He's got very fast hands, and that's where he's better, when he's on the counter. He's very stylish, Santos. Sometimes just a little too lazy.
Got a bit of height and reach on Margarito Santos, but he's got so much heart, the Mexican. He'll keep wading forward like he did when he won the vacant WBO 10 stone 7 belt against a brave but outclassed Antonio Diaz.
That's good pressure from Margarito. He's got to keep a good work rate up, because Santos likes to box at his own pace.
Yes, occasionally he does take a breather. Daniel Santos can't really afford to do that against an excellent operator, especially with his come-forward style in Margarito. He's going to make Santos work all the way through this.
That's what he's got to try and do. He's got to really have a good work rate, keep the pressure on. Don't let Santos just get in that comfort zone.
Very different backgrounds. Daniel Santos was a terrific amateur, yet Antonio Margarito only had 21 amateur bouts and turned pro at 15. So the class should be with Santos, you'd expect, but the ruggedness with Margarito.
Yes, he's rugged, he's very, very determined, Margarito, and that's what he's got to be.
Close around the second. The advice from Javier Capetillo, also got Francisco Espinosa, his manager and cutsman in the corner with him. Antonio Tony Margarito, who's won 30 of his 34 outings. But is it Santos just made the better start and Margarito came back in the second for you, Glenn?
Yes, Margarito did better in the second round. He pushed Santos back, didn't allow Santos to get the jab working. That's what he's got to do. He's got to close him down, keep the pressure on him, keep Santos on the back foot.
Great noise here inside the Coliseo de Puerto Rico in San Juan on this Saturday evening as Daniel Santos comes out for the third round, defending his world light middleweight title for the fourth time against old foe Antonio Margarito. All to play for, the fast hands of Santos, who started positively. He's not been negative, and that's a good sign.
Well, I think he has to be positive in a fight like this. Margarito's going to make him fight, so he's got to be busy. Good work from Margarito, just being rough there, but getting the shots on.
Volume of punches again. Santos dabs his forehead. Last time curtailed by a clash of heads. So far no cuts, nothing to worry about on that aspect, but those heads are bumping together. It's Margarito's style when he goes in close and he just throws so much leather.
Santos has to start using that jab to better effect. He's just wasting that punch.
Got a good uppercut too when he uses it, Daniel Santos. Just seems to have been a different stage of his career, a little more apprehensive, played with inactivity too. Santos needs a good show for his fans and for his career. That's good.
That's better, just moving away, getting off with a good hook there, Santos. Now he's starting to put more punches together.
Eye-catching combinations from Daniel Santos. The cleaner work coming from the Puerto Rican champion.
He's coming out of the clinch there with some nice shots, Santos.
Excellent boxer when he gets into his groove, as Takalou found out at the Cardiff Castle that night.
That's a good left hook for Margarito.
And he was winding up an uppercut to follow. Takalou did floor Santos in the fourth round of their world title fight, so can Margarito do the same?
This is warming up into a good fight, both prepared to stand and trade.
Excellent action here in the third round. Rice smile from behind his gum shield by Antonio Margarito. They want to go toe-to-toe. And the fans rise to that.
Santos getting the better of it. He's very determined in that round. It's good to see Santos when he's in that sort of mood, when he stands and lets the shots go.
That's right, we saw him back in June last year, outboxing Fulgencio Zúñiga, but a really lackluster display where the crowd were not impressed with him. Another decision in April over Michael Lerma too. I think people have read the riot act to Daniel Santos.
Well, this is the kind of fight that brings the best out in Santos. He's been forced to fight, he's been forced to do something.
Plenty of machismo at stake here. Puerto Rico against Mexico. We've had some terrific rivalries down the years. Cesar Chavez and Edwin Rosario, Wilfredo Gomez and Carlos Cerati, Salvador Sanchez, Luis Pinto, so many great names from these part of the world. Antonio Margarito and Daniel Santos, neither will go down in history with those, but as a trade fight with plenty of needle, that's what we've got in front of us.
Santos got to start using that southpaw jab and then start putting the combinations behind it.
Santos crisp and clean on the counter, making Margarito look a touch pedestrian.
Now starting to show his class, bringing that left hand in.
Orthodox to southpaw, Margarito still not quite sure which stance to box from, and that's credit to Santos, who's catching him cleanly and effectively.
There's that southpaw jab again. That's a good punch to use against Margarito.
Upper body movement, head a bit static from Margarito, who wields in these big-looking hooks. But he's not a huge puncher. 21 of his wins have come inside, but at welterweight, and this is a different scenario. Santos just glancing down at his corner, worried about something?
Yes, now and again he just seems to be a little bit troubled. Can't see what could be wrong with Santos. Again, nice counter, straight down the middle with that left hand.
Just a strange sort of boxing character, really, Daniel Santos. Is there just one ingredient that's not quite there from making him a really big name? He's only lost a couple of times. Kofi Jantua stopped him, and a very close one against Ahmed Kotiev, but he has got so much ability.
Just waiting to counter Margarito. He wants to make a miss and then catch him with a punch, and that's what he does well, getting the better accuracy there, Santos.
Yeah, Margarito putting the pressure on, but Santos with the clean, crisp shots. What has Antonio Margarito got to do to prevent Santos from getting into that little groove?
Well, the only thing he really can do is try and force the fight, put lots of pressure and lots of shots at Santos. He hasn't got the same sort of ability as a Santos. You know, he's not that skilled. He's got to be aggressive, he's got to be determined, and he's got to keep going forward. Having some success with the punches, just as Santos tries to lean away and take the sting out of those.
Better performance from Daniel Santos so far, one he's badly needed. What can Margarito do to turn the tide? Here's the 5th round. WBO light middleweight title on the stake, probably at the moment of Daniel Santos, and so far looking as though he will retain if he can keep his concentration and keep his boxing together, which hasn't always been the case as Margarito tries to up the tempo and take Santos to a place he won't be happy.
Well, he's often been criticised for not working hard enough, and I think he is, you know, he is quite lazy in the ring, Santos, and that's where Margarito's just got to keep forcing the fight, pushing him back.
Margarito, one of those slow burner types of fighters who originally went to the gym just to see if he could box, found he was quite good at it, and has got more rounded over the years. His biggest win, a 2-round blowout of Andrew Sixheads Lewis, that propelled him onto the scene. He's hard to look good against, Margarito, and hard to dispirit.
Yes, he's a tough, rough character, and I think, you know, Santos is probably feeling it in there. He's got to keep this work rate up. The better boxer, but when you've got somebody as determined as Margarito in front of you, it makes life hard.
How much does Daniel Santos want this? He's caught there from a shot from Margarito, who piles on the pressure over on those ropes, and suddenly Santos looks a static target.
He was hurt, the legs buckled from that punch. This is a good period in the fight for Margarito. He's definitely hurt Santos.
Now the Puerto Rican fans will see what Daniel Santos is made of. Can he trade, go toe-to-toe for long periods? He may have to.
This is good for Margarito. This is where he needs Santos on the ropes. This is where he can work hard.
Excellent spell for the Mexican. Look how many shots he's putting in to body, up through the middle as well. Wonderful uppercut from Antonio Margarito. Best part of the fight so far from him, and Santos has got to ship a couple more.
Santos has got to move. He just needs to slide along those ropes and get out of there. He's prepared to stand and trade, and that might be wrong.
This will give the Mexican corner a great deal of hope. Margarito has taken the initiative, backed Santos up, and won the round.
Well, that was more like it for Margarito. That's what he needed to do. He certainly hurt Santos in that round.
Head down there, Glenn, from Santos. Looked rather stunned, caught up in a bit of a whirlwind over on those ropes. Fortunately, Hurricane Ivan didn't hit us here in Puerto Rico, but I tell you, he was caught in some sort of a storm there.
He really was. He decided to stay on the ropes, which I'm not sure why he did that. He wanted to try and fight back and fight it out, but all that happened was he got caught with good shots from Margarito. And that might well have took a bit out of Santos. There was the best of the punches. A right hand, and look at the reaction.
And that shows that Margarito has the power to hurt Santos even up at light middleweight. Totally different scenario so far from their first encounter. That was a no contest from a clash of heads in a round. We've had one or two bumps, but fortunately the styles have worked here. Santos getting a better start, but Margarito coming back in the 5th round.
Well, the Mexican corner will have some hope after the last round. They know what they've got to do. They know they can hurt Santos.
Was Daniel Santos going through a lull, or was he badly hurt? He needs to really fight, but there's been a clash of heads there. Antonio Margarito immediately shakes his head. I think it's a bad cut around the right eyebrow. Santos looks unfazed at all. Oh no, has it all happened again? The doctor has a look. That's bad for Antonio Margarito, and he knows it. What's going to happen here? The blood is flowing heavily. The doctor and the referee Luis Pabon let the fight go on here in the 6th round. Oh dear, is this lightning striking twice after we've had such a good brawl so far?
Well, you could see it on the face of Margarito. He was sick at that clash of heads, and he's got another cut. Now, can Santos pick it up now?
He sort of knew immediately, Margarito, that was bad. Santos just slipping there in the corner after a punch did land. They wiped the water away, and Margarito dabs that eye, which looks very, very serious. He knew it, didn't he? The split second it happened.
Straight away, and that look took something away from Margarito.
Will that gashed eyebrow hold out? And can Margarito keep his cool and composure? There's been little reaction from Santos.
No, you would have thought that Santos would have really stepped up the pace. It's a bad cut.
Another timeout being called. Luis Pavon wants the doctor to have another look at this quite horrific gash there. You can see just over Margarito's right eye, plagued by cuts through the years, and Francisco Espinosa, if it's allowed to go back to the corner, will have quite some job to do on it. The fight continues, but that's got to have taken something out of Margarito, surely.
And I think that was the doctor saying just one more. So look now for Margarito to give it a big effort.
How much does a bad cut really affect fighters? He may have to go for broke, Margarito, but he'll be encouraged about what he did at the end of the last round to Santos.
Well, he's got to get close. He's just got to go for it now. Santos just playing it cool, just moving round. He knows the extent of that damage.
Again, Margarito wipes away the blood which has continued to flow. The clash happened early in the round, so no time to work on it, but suddenly Francisco Espinosa goes to work. Will the time he's got be enough to repair that?
It's a very, very bad cut. In the worst possible place, right in the front. There's the heads coming together. Oftentimes, orthodox southpaw fighters, the lead leg are facing each other, and that's when you can get head clashes.
Was that accidental? That's the first question we've got to ask, because of the rules, whether the fight is stopped. Onto that first, Glenn, is that accidental?
Yeah, I think that was an accidental head clash. I don't think there was anything intentional there.
Because the WBO rules state that after 4 rounds, should the fight be stopped, it will go to the scorecards, the 3 judges of John Stewart, Samuel Conde and Rocky Young, if indeed Margarito is forced out by that cut. That's if it's deemed accidental, which to us it looked like, and I think the referee did signal that to the judges alongside as well. And Glenn, your card, you've got Santos a couple of rounds ahead.
Yes, he's just done the better boxing. He's more accurate and neater. Some of Margarito's work has been very wild.
Again, the right glove touches the right eye from Margarito. Santos has kept a cool head, but Margarito will want to keep the pressure on him, force Santos to fight. And he might be fighting like a wounded lion now, Margarito.
Well, he knows he can hurt Santos. He's got to get him on the ropes. He's got to start just letting punches go.
Body shots from Margarito. Santos does well to come out from around the ropes, but he's got to keep light on his feet. Daniel Santos, you feel if Margarito can just get him into that slugfest, he's still got a good chance.
Well, Santos just being very cool. Cagey performance here. He's just picking up the points, not wanting to get involved with Margarito.
Is that sensible?
That's the best plan. Margarito is badly cut. All he can do now, Santos, is just take him off at long range.
Again, Margarito piles forward, a little crude at times. The gash gets worse here in the 7th round. Antonio Margarito, long-standing holder of the WBO welterweight title, last defended in January when he outclassed Hercules Kivelos in a couple of rounds. Now he's got to do it to a better fighter in Santos and with a horrific cut.
Santos just taking his time, just looking to pick shots up from long range, but Margarito still getting through.
Little bump just on the right cheek for Daniel Santos, who came off so much better from that accidental clash of heads. But will the eye hold up? It's a long, long way to go. Interesting round, Glenn. Who do you give that one to?
Santos, for me. He just got on the back foot, moved around the ring, was very sensible, and we're seeing what Santos does. You know, he doesn't up the work rate, he can be a little bit lazy. He's just been cagey there, thinking, you know, I can do more damage to the eye, I can take the points up, and I can make it easy for myself.
Intelligent work from Daniel Santos, who's shown he can fight as well in this performance, but taking his time, using that jab and his better ability that saw him get a bronze in the Atlanta Olympics some 8 years ago. What other dramas in store? We've had a little bit of everything in this good dust up here in San Juan. Antonio Margarito comes out with blood down his Mexican-coloured shorts. That from the right eye. The clash, remember, in the 6th round. A couple of inspections, but he was allowed to go on. But is Daniel Santos just easing his way into a decent lead?
Well, they're doing a very good job in the Margarito corner just to keep the blood from flowing.
And good work from the Mexican there. That shocked Daniel Santos. Again he turns southpaw, catches him with an uppercut, winging in these punches. And there's hardly any method in it, but he is so determined, Margarito.
Well, he's got through with some good shots, Margarito. He knows he can get to Santos. He knows he can hurt him.
Very, very strong and game, Antonio Margarito. He's not lost since June 1996. Again, he claims a clash of heads there. He's annoyed Margarito. Luis Pabon has a little word with them. Is it the styles? Is it the fact that Margarito just needs to get close to unleash his shots?
Well, he's got to try and do that, but that's difficult against, you know, somebody who's a good counter puncher like Santos, and also a southpaw.
Just had the air of class. Daniel Santos desperately seeking out win number 29. Would be a big one if he can get through, but a vital part of the fight here. The eyes held up so far. Got more than a round, Margarito. He's been allowed to carry on, and you can't count him out because of his heart, and you never know what will come next with Daniel Santos.
Well, that's the problem for Santos is, you know, he relaxed too much. He doesn't keep the work rate up. He just sits back, and then, you know, you get a good shot from Margarito.
Looking for that right hand again. Thrown a lot of leather tonight, Antonio Margarito. more accuracy from Santos, especially with his countering shots. Good left hands as well have affected Margarito on the way in.
Margarito has done better in this round. Just gone quiet, Santos.
Comes back at the end, Margarito nods, but work rate has surely got the Mexican back into it. Both look rather tired. There's the catch all the way down, almost the right eyebrow. It's absolutely savage.
That's a very bad cut, but they're doing very well in the corner to keep him in the fight. There is the good work from Margarito. That's where he wants Santos, backed up against the ropes. That's where he can get through. There's a nice uppercut landed there.
Still, he doesn't smile. Serious look about Daniel Santos. Just about getting the job done here. Probably pretty close on the cards, but the feeling you get is that his better ability has probably got him in front.
Yes, better punch taking from Santos. He's the more accurate of the two, and that's just pain for him, although Margarito just starting to get more into it as Santos may be tiring.
Again, they have a look at the eye. Luis Pabon, the referee, just has a quick glance. The action's underway again. Less than 12 minutes of this 12-round affair for the WBO light middleweight title. Ronald Winky Wright, probably the best in the world at the moment. Santos about fourth, Margarito sixth. Excellent to see these two together, and thankfully it didn't end up in a first round farce as it did when they met at welterweight. That's better from Santos.
Good combination from Santos. He needs to take it up at this stage in the fight. He's just starting to go a bit quiet.
Flashes of fast hands, cameos of brilliance from Daniel Santos.
That was a nice right hook, wasn't it? Just on the way in there.
Margarito again shakes his head, more concerned about the eye, which is beginning to look absolutely dreadful. Margarito, I don't know how much longer they can let this go on with that sort of cut. You've got to give him every chance. This is a world title fight, but that is a very bad injury.
It is, and I think if that got any worse, the referee would have to stop it.
Remember, if it is stopped, accidental clash means that it will go to the judges, and who knows how they're seeing things. But for the moment, Antonio Margarito keeps piling forward. You've got to take your hat off to him. This is one heck of a challenge from the Mexican.
He's strong, he's tough, he really wants it. Just putting a little bit more into his punches in this round, Santos.
Is it just a question of levels that Santos is more polished, a better fighter at 28 than Margarito is at 26? You can see why he was such a good amateur, Daniel Santos.
Margarito still pushing forward, but it's Santos who's getting the shots on.
Yeah, he's still in this fight, Margarito, but you feel that maybe the rounds are beginning to chip away. That's a better left hook, though. There's still hope, so long as that eye holds up. Again, Margarito smiles. And once more, Francisco Espinosa goes to work. Another busy night for the cutsman of Antonio Tony Margarito.
He's starting to pull away again, Santos. I think he felt he needed to pick it up, and he did in that round. Started just trying to get more into his punches.
Oh, it's opened up even more. That terrible gash above Antonio Margarito's forehead. There's a little more concern in the corner. There's a lot of talking going on in there. I'm not sure whether they can save this cut. There is, remember, 3 rounds to go. Is it going to hold up, or should they put him out?
Well, the good thing is that it's not bleeding a lot. It's not hampering his vision, but it's a nasty cut.
Luis Pabon, the referee, takes Antonio Margarito to the corner. The doctor has a third look at the eye. There's a lot of shaking of heads. It could be a double nightmare for Antonio Margarito. I think the fight's going to be stopped. Margarito is in absolute dismay, but remember, he's not necessarily lost this, because after 4 rounds, WBO rules accidental head clash that's forced the stoppage. It will go to the cards, and it's in the hands of John Stewart, Samuel Condé and Rocky Young. That's nice of Santos too to go over.
Yes, it is. It was an accidental head clash, and I'm sure Santos wanted the fight to carry on, but I think the referee was right. That cut was terrible.
Your card, Glenn, has got Santos a 3-point winner, 87-84, but we don't know whether those judges will be looking for the aggression of Margarito or for the cleaner, better work at times from Santos.
That's right. Often they don't judge the slick boxing. They go for aggression. I think it was just better punch picking from Santos, and I think he just looked the better fighter.
Well, it was excellent for 6 rounds, real blood and thunder type affair, but the cut did change things, and I wonder who got the better of those last few. That might be the difference. Has Daniel Santos held on to his title, or will we have a new champion? In the hands of the judges.
Ladies and gentlemen, because of an accidental headbutt, the bout could no longer continue. We go to the scorecards after 9 rounds. Judge Conde scores the bout, 86-85, Santos. Rocky Young scores it. Pardon me, John Stewart scores it, 86-85, Margarito. Rocky Young scores it, 87-84. The winner by split decision, and still champion de Bayamón, Puerto Rico, Daniel Santos.
Daniel Santos retains his WBO light middleweight title for the 4th time on a split decision. There, one went for Margarito. Rocky Young, Glenn, scored like you by 3 points for Santos. Probably the right result.
Yeah, I think that was the right result. Unbelievable that somebody would go for Margarito, but the right man won. The better boxing was with Daniel Santos.
He needed a major performance, and Daniel Santos finally delivered on home soil.
Did he finally deliver, Johnny?
No, not in my opinion. It was a messy fight. And that's why you got the clash of heads. That's why you got the clash of styles. It was a very messy fight.
Barry, was that one that he just had to get out of the way and it was always going to be ugly, or did he make it extremely hard work of it against Santos?
I think it's not surprising why the guy has to travel so much. He's a champion that spends his time on the road defending in various different countries, because he's drab and he's to be perfectly honest, it's interesting because he's the sort of guy that makes hard work of most of these fights, and this was a clash of styles, unfortunately.
He is making hard work of his career at the moment. He was booed out of the hall in Puerto Rico, different arena, last time he fought. Did you feel that was in his mind the way he tried to start this time?
Well, he started the fight very well. I thought he looked very neat early on. He caught Margarito with some good shots. But then, you know, it started getting messy and the clash of heads. And I have to tell you, I didn't think any of it was intentional. None of it was premeditated. You know, it's purely accidental. But then Margarito had his chance here as well. He had him in trouble. His legs wobbled. Great onslaught against the ropes here. And, you know, Santos fought off the ropes and shouldn't have. Was in big trouble. And this is the first class of heads that really done the damage.
The critical one here.
That is the critical one. That was not intentional. If you look at it from a different, we see it from a different angle. Look, body shot. He wasn't trying to hit him with the head. It was just an accidental clash of styles and clash of heads.
Nigel, what about the way Margarito, with a horrendous cut, did try to take it back to Santos?
Yeah, I think with a cut like that, they're the kind of cut that...
He had to go for it then, didn't he?
Yeah, but he had to go for it, but I think, me personally, I think we're fighting with a cut like that, because that could ruin his career now. I would have pulled him out.
In fairness to what Barry said, I think Santos, maybe what gives him that little bit of a spark is because he can hit and he can take people out, but he also can get hurt. So that might give his championship status a little bit of sparkle, because you know it can be a bit of a seesaw battle. He can get involved in, but he's a lazy fighter.
But you know, Johnny, I don't think he's going to be champion for very much longer. There's a lot of good light middleweights out there. One of them we're going to see later on this evening, Kofi John Tua, against a really top Mexican fighter with you know 20-odd knockouts. So it's really going to be a good division, and a lot of young kids there coming up. I think he'll be champion for very little longer.
Johnny, what about Margarito in all of this? Did you feel that the referee, the doctors and his own cutsmen gave him every chance by their work?
They gave him every chance possible, and you know, it was again Margarito's style is when he switched southpaw. That's when the clash of heads came. Whenever he threw a right hand, he'd switch and step in with the punch, because with Santos being a southpaw, it's hard to pin a southpaw down. So he had to go for it and had to put his foot on the pedal, and that's why they kept clashing. And they give him all the chances in the world.
The last
and
fight, the clash heads and stoppage as well. And it just seems that this one happened again. They could fight again in 3 months' time.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing could happen.
Yeah, you're looking forward to the third meeting in today's match. After the break, we focus on what we're really here for tonight in Las Vegas. And just a reminder, if you cannot stay with us, there are repeats on Sunday, 9 a.m. and again at noon, of course. But if you cannot stay with us, you'll miss all this excitement.
Sensational fighter. Bernard Hopkins is the middleweight king.